how they fire. They used to fire by banana leaves. They were too poor, but now this is how they fire. You know, they stack up, and then they can afford to buy wood. And look, isn't it lovely? Yeah? Yeah, I don't think they ever travel, but look at their gorilla. This is how they used to live. And one day, Mucho, I met him, the first person, on the road, and his gorilla is almost half his size. He stopped. He said, Mama Lily, look at me. I dress smart. I look good, and I feel proud. Right? The best part, yeah, now they're known, so people with car, with motorcycle come. But the best, well, anyway, we got them land also, so they are food problems. And then the government commissioned them to do energy-saving stove. And so that's stability. And the best, yeah, we always celebrate and sing and dance. They sing like divas, oh, beautiful. So we took them to international conference. Many of them never traveled out of Kigali, you know, so to be on stage, to be seen up. The last part, 30 seconds, the best part, I said, I got the news, you have to hear this. I got the news from Jean Bosco. He said, Mama Lily, the rich American Buffett, I think it's Howard Buffett, and President Kigali came and built this big building on the border of Congo. And so they do customary and commerce and so forth. And all, yeah, see, yeah, I didn't lie, right there. And Paul Kagame. And they need decoration. So all their decoration came from the Twa, right, yeah. So that's from their. Those are gorilla with an attitude, isn't it? It's with an expression. So this is the new building. And many other people buy from them. They are proud now. 4-year time. So you equalize from the untouchables, disdained, and generations. Now, Paul Kagame and Howard Buffett says that they were deeply moved by the authenticity and the artistic quality of the Twa pottery. And that is what art can do through transdisciplinary art can do in transforming, yeah. I just have to say one more thing. One very important principle is by this poet, and I felt it's important for this conference. And it's Federica Lorca, and it says that I will always be on the side of those who have nothing and who are not even allowed to enjoy the nothing they have in peace. That's our ground. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lily, for bringing a dimension which was missing in our Congress. I don't know how to call it in English, brotherness, sisterness, fraternity, and thank you for bringing that. I think it's very important and at the limit of revolution, because Garcia Lorca was a revolutionary man. I must confess that I think I met you first time, if I remember correctly, in Georgetown meeting. And I was fascinated by you. But I didn't know why. So I'm very glad that I insisted you to come here, because now I think that I understand why I am fascinated by what you are doing. Now it's on the theory level, because I think you are a unique example in art, from what I know. In between indisciplinarity and transdisciplinary. Indisciplinarity is a word which is circulated a lot in art and means refusing of our theory and methodology. Just be that. It's exactly what you show in your positions and affirmations. But at the same time you have something else, which is, for example, these slides which were circulated by this group. These poor people were discovering to make art themselves. And that's transdisciplinarity, because it's the recognition of the beauty which is hidden in themselves. And that's transdisciplinary. So you are in between, which is very nice. Thank you. Okay, now we go to the last talk of this long day. Professor Juan Sanchez. Oh, you are here. Good. Which is professor at the University of Texas in Austin. And she's going to that's interesting. She promised to be all the other talks, but I think she comes for you. Oh, good. It's from the universities making movies. Anyway, so professor at the University of Texas at Austin and former vice president of the same university. Please.
Okay, thank you. Well, let me begin by thanking Professor Etudes and Professor Nicolescu for including me in the program. And I must say that it is typical of my lack. I have the toughest act to follow. Thank you, Lily, for all you do. Thank you so much. Anyway, I think that I will be talking about the legacy of George Kozmetsky, who had a great role to play in the creation of this organization, but primarily because I think it's a good role model for those of us who want to promote in transdisciplinary activities and study. And as some of you know, George was very pragmatic, and that's the element that I think that I want to communicate to you. How important it is to get beyond the theorizing and get into the do part of transdisciplinarity. So, it was mentioned this morning that there's a new book coming out by Monty Jones that is extremely well researched. It was announced in the public two days ago, so it's fairly new, but it's been many, many years in the making. And I have to confess that most of what I'm going to tell you is in the book. So if you fall asleep for whatever reason, read the book. It's a very good source of information about a person that had a tremendous impact, not only in UT Austin, but in the entire disciplines, particularly in the management sciences. This is a sort of a short CV of George, and the things to really notice is that that he was primarily a social entrepreneur. He was heavily involved and has this quality of connecting people to a degree that is very unusual to find, that has played a key role in his very successful professional activities. And one thing that I will touch on briefly is that he was a war hero. And that's not very well known in the community at large. But anyway, very interesting character. Among the big honors he received was the National Medal of Technology in 1993, given to him by President Clinton. But primarily an educator, a civic leader, mentor, visionary, and connector. He connected people. His formative years he spent in Washington University, and in the University of Washington, I should say. And from the very beginning, he chooses an interdisciplinary program for his bachelor's degree that brought together business, economics, political science, and law. So that was George. I mean, that was his formative years. On top of that, he joins the ROTC, and that is very close connected to his war activities. I should say that many of his future colleagues contributed to the war effort, but benefited deeply intellectually from their contribution because they were actually developing the science of management operations and programming war activities. George didn't. He benefited differently, and we'll touch on that briefly. He graduated in 1938, immediately joined the faculty of Washington University. He was asked to teach statistics as well as economic law, etc. He was really a Renaissance man in many, many respects. But related to his ROTC activity, I want to communicate sort of a vignette of George. George was the son of Russian immigrants, and he spoke Russian fluently. And it so happens that in the summer of 1937, he was doing training related to his ROTC thing at Pearson Field in Vancouver. And a Russian pilot was Valery Pavlovich-Shaklov, a very famous test pilot in Russia that unfortunately died in an accident 18 months after this incident. He was the first over the pole flight from Russia, and he was scheduled to go to Oakland, California, but had to land in Washington, D.C. in Pearson Field. Somewhat unexplainable, Kozmetsky was in the middle of it. He was the only person in Pearson Field that could speak Russian, and therefore he became the translator for Shaklov. But the interesting thing, in my view, is that the commander of the base was nobody else than George C. Marshall. George C. Marshall became the chief of staff of the Army during the war, was the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State, and of course, the architect of the Marshall Plan. So, George has this unusual quality of connecting with people like that. The second in command was General Walter Bedell Smith, who became eventually director of the CIA and chief of staff for Eisenhower, of all people. That was a quality of George. I call it being in the right place at the right time. Very interesting. As I said, he participated in the war, but as a lieutenant, assistant battalion surgeon. That was not his discipline. That is, he didn't benefit from that, but he was helping people. And unlike his colleagues, that were primarily in safe places doing logistics analysis for the war effort, George was in the middle of the thickness of war. I mean, very, very trying circumstances. And he received 4 recognitions. The Silver Star, which is the second highest honor in the Army, 2 Bronze Stars, which is third. And obviously he must have been injured because he also received a Purple Heart. Why is this important? Because he recognized that this activity inspired him to help people. And this is a quotation from George, that if you care about people and want to help them, caring does more for you, as Lenin told us, than for them. That was George. That was part of his education. So very early in his career. He joined Harvard, became did his PhD in Harvard, and he benefited tremendously from a bunch of colleagues. That eventually, many of them ended up having the Nobel Prize. As I said, well, he worked and moved from academia to Hughes Aircraft. That Hughes were a very interesting organization at that time. It was very academic, and well, made reference to that in a minute. That this is another quote from George. When you work with world-class people and perform well, you have a chance of becoming world-class yourself. And he actually did that. He became world-class in more than one way. Like his academic activities, I would say his major impact was in the management sciences. At UT Austin, where he became dean, he instilled on the institution the concept of creative and innovative management. Had influence in creating transdisciplinary programs, one of which is Claremont University, another one is this academy, and created the Society of Design and Process Science. And these are things that are more naturally recognized nowadays as very important component of transdisciplinarity. But George was doing that many, many years ago. Yeah. So that's what made him quite unique. Complexity. Complexity was always in George's mind. He created something that they called the Large-Scale Project Institute. And what he had in mind was the big project of NASA, the Apollo program, some big projects in the Department of Defense and so on. I would say his biggest influence, together with major figures in the field such as Bill Cooper and Charles, was the creation of the Institute of Management Science in 1953. That was a major development. They were, for the first time, promoting the use of theories that were emerging, such as optimization theories. But they were promoting the use in industry, in academia, and in conjunction with the emerging tool of the day, which is the computer. So that was the official mission of the organization, and then you have some of the primary founding members of the organization. There was an effort that had a national impact and maybe global impact, because they were developing. What were they doing? I mean, they were really promoting the application of linear programming to optimization problems. Okay? That was new in business, but it really transcended business. It became the tool of optimization in all branches of science. Yeah? So, of course, work being done on this topic since Fourier. Okay? But the challenges at the time was the lack of algorithms that you can actually implement. Of course, very limited computing capacity. The two big figures in the algorithmic side was, of course, George Danzig, who invented the simplex method, and John von Neumann, who, after talking to Danzig, came out with the duality theory. But after talking to Danzig, which is very close to something that he was working on, which was game theory. But the interesting thing that some of the early applications were done by hand. Okay? It was not until the 50s and 60s that the first computers were being used in some restricted manner to this. But I mentioned Danzig because I also want to tell you another vignette. It turns out that Danzig, at the time, in 1956, was working for Rand Corporation. And he was one of Hungarian mathematician, very famous, Andrew Lazonier, was giving a talk, invited by Dancer, and he was introducing what we now call process flow charts. I mean, if you ever work with George Kozmetsky, any conversation with him will end up with a process chart. I mean, he will do a chart and will tell you how to arrange your plot process. Zensky called these things that goes into diagrams, but somehow it was understood that it goes into diagrams, which generated this interested exchange with George Transdisciplinary, who is goes into. And Lazonier, without missing a bit, said, oh, Zinc was his famous Italian mathematician. What's his first name? I don't know. I mean, definitely Zinc. Bill Cooper later on figured out that the first name was Zabarzat Gozinto, which in English is the part that goes into. And they have a sense of humor. That's beautiful. To the extent that they, oh, by the way, Gozinto terminology is even used up today. But they managed to get Zabarzat Gozinto invited to international congresses. Okay? And then for whatever reason he couldn't show up, etc. But they did have a great sense of humor. Well, the second contribution, as I said, was to instill this concept of creative management at UT Austin, and it became a mantra. I mean, there are several colleagues here from UT Austin, from the College of Business, and you will let me know if I'm lying, but it became a mantra and extremely successful. But creativity, George Kozmetsky understood the inventions for ideas, product, methods, and processes. So he understood the complexity of the creative process. But innovation was important to him. And therefore, application of those inventions was critical. And that is the one aspect that I think is for us to recognize as the next step we as individuals need to take if we want to promote transdisciplinarity. We need to be practically practicing the discipline. Out of this, he created something at IC Square, at UT Austin, which is the IC Square Institute, and this terminologies for innovation, creativity, and capital. So he's connecting not just the innovation aspect, but with the profitable benefits to society that I could create. As I said, he was a very pragmatic man. And he created IC Square as a think and do tank. The think tanks were all over the place, but George wanted to be a do tank. Again, his pragmatic view of the world. IC Square has had a very successful history. It's going into his 40 years of operation at UT. Has an incredible broad footprint, international footprint. I think we are all at UT Austin proud of IC Square. Bob Peterson that spoke this morning is one of the founding members of IC Square. Again, it's something that was, as I said, 40 years old and has really been spearheading transdisciplinarity activities within UT Austin. He did other things in this arena, such as creating a transdisciplinary program in Claremont University, which is operated today, I think is fairly successful. This is the vision they have from Claremont Graduate University. Let you read that. But what I went into the web and tried to get some of the courses they include in this transdisciplinary program. There you are, because it's a very interesting list of activities. So, he did that in California, but he also, I think, had a tremendous impact on what's going on Texas Tech. And we saw this morning testimonial from students that actually participated in the program that are very promising. Again, the creation of this organization and a testimonial from the president of the organization, how in the time of trying to define what is it that we're doing, George came in with the right concept. Two other activities that I consider to be signature things and really legacies of George is the creation of the Society for Design that he recognized as a high-level activity, but also processing. And what I mentioned briefly is the Large-Scale Project Institute, and that was George thinking big. This is the at the time in the 80s, there were similar efforts going on at MIT to work on the channel, the tunnel under the channel, and the Apollo project. I mean, that's one of the cases that George had in mind, which was of extraordinary complexity. But the complexity that without the previous efforts in the 50s of creating the mathematical tools that would allow you to quantify risk, quantify cost, benefit, would not have been done. Nowadays it's trivial. Nowadays we have even better algorithms and are used constantly in the entire world. That was, I think, what George did for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, before going to enjoy life, reception, drinking, eating, relaxing, discussing with friends and colleagues, I have to distribute some documents. So please, Attila, Corina, in the legal.
Here.
No, Corina. Gerardo.